Hello and welcome to another careful ramble about language learning and teaching and language and context and a lot of things that are interconnected. So, I want to continue talking about language usage in classrooms. Last time I talked about play. I think I could say a little more about play, but I'll cycle back to it whenever it comes up again. This is, after all, a ramble. Um, my daughter just turned 2 years old recently, about a month ago, and we eat dinner every day. This is going to be a little bit of a weird one for me to talk about because I already recorded this, but my mic wasn't working at the time. And I went back and listened, and it was pretty much this view. And I have to say it all again. So that is a little bit on point, though, because my point right now is that we say things again and again every day because we do things again and again every day. Specifically, I would highlight dinner. We eat dinner every day together as a family, and we say a lot of the same things every day. You want to eat this? Do you want to eat this? Come on, eat this, eat this. Try it, try it. Do you want to try this? And it's pretty much every day. And we don't eat the exact same foods every day, but there's often rice, sometimes noodles. Within a week, those repeat. So if it's 52 weeks in a year, it's been 104 plus for 108 weeks that we've been saying a lot of the same things to her over and over because the foods that we eat repeat. Not every day, but yeah, about on a weekly basis, they do repeat. Let me see if I can adjust this. Yeah. So language repeats naturally outside of classrooms because we repeat certain tasks over and over. And this is an interesting notion that researchers call task repetition. One article by Tavakoli and Foster, might be 2011, has to do with telling stories. And they don't just look at task repetition, but one of the things they mention is task repetition. I've kind of taken that notion and just run with it in my classroom. And there are things that we can do several times in a row. When I taught at university level, I had a map of our local Chinatown. So that was kind of the content learning aspect, the content learning piece of it was to explore a map of Chinatown. We looked at some real things, but then we expanded it into play. And so I let students, I tasked them with, the instructions were, make up two fictitious places and give each other instructions on how to get there. The content learning was that they're kind of exploring the map. And they had some key phrases to use. I would come back to the whole class where they could hear me talk about how to get to different places, and then give it back to them to talk about different places to go. So the playful part was them being imaginative, different places to go on the map. The content part was the map itself being a real map of our local Chinatown. But we did it, I think, 3 or 4 days in a row. And on the fourth, however many days we did it, I asked them several days in, hey, I'm giving you the exact same material, the map, and the exact same instructions. Make up two places and direct each other on how to get there. Is this getting old? And everyone unanimously was like, no, it's fun because we're getting better at it each day. They get to recycle, be a little more quick, a little more fluent at the things they've already said, and think of new things to add, think of new questions to ask me on how to say it. So there's the nature of the task that I was giving was open enough to fill in their own ideas, to contribute their own imagined possibilities for what could be happening in this map. If I gave them a map with 2 points on it already and said, tell each other to move from this point to the other point, and then the next day said, okay, again, the same 2 points, tell each other how to get from this point to this point again, and then the next day, exact same 2 points, tell each other how to get from here. That would be an example of a very closed off task with basically no room for creativity. Like most ways that researchers, and I think the general public talks about play, there have to be boundaries. Imagine a basketball game where the court has no boundary lines and anyone can just take the ball and run a mile away. The game would fall apart. People would be standing around waiting, they'd get bored, people would leave. Um, the same as if there's no rules. It's like, oh, you can just punch each other. Well, okay. Not people would start quitting because they don't want to get punched. You could make it a rule. Hockey seems to allow that. You can get into fist fights. It's part of the game. So it's not that universally you can't get in fights. It's just that the rules have to be set and clear. And then once people know those rules, then they mess around. They see what's possible within there. Um, so I'm going to close this off now. But that's one thing that I wanted to say about reusing language in a classroom is that the task can repeat, but each time it repeats, the task can be open enough to allow some variation, some personal contribution to how to do it, and some variation in what the outcomes would look like. What's the final product going to look like each time people do it? And students seem to be really into it. They feel a sense of growth, a sense of ability to do it better and better over time, and in more varied ways over time. So that's one more aspect to think about with classroom language usage.